Hello, everybody. This is John Paval with Access Arts Live and the Access Arts Live Chamber live stream action roundup for the week of March 9th to March 16th, 2026. Can you believe we're almost 1/4 of the way through this new year? I have trouble doing so. We have a lovely lineup of more than a dozen live streams for me to tell you about this week, running from 17th century early music to 21st century compositions, from the piccolo violin to brass ensembles, piano trios, and music based on the idea of spirals. And I'm here to fill you in on all of that, which I look forward to doing. Before I do so, let me remind you, if you like this kind of sophisticated music, do yourself a favor. Follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn, and make sure you, too, get more than 1,000 live links to live performances of this kind every year. And not just this kind, also opera and ballet and orchestras and piano recitals and organ recitals, etc. So, having said that, let's move on to what we have this week. If you have been following us already, you know that this afternoon, St. Mary's Perivale live streamed the up-and-coming young pianist Jiali Wang, playing Dutilleux, Fauré, and Brahms. And if you haven't been following us, then you would have missed that. And that was free of charge, as are almost all of the live streams I'm here to tell you about today. So let's move on to tomorrow's live streams, which start with who, John? They start with Camerata, with this. Back in the 18th century, they used to write music for strings and wind instruments combined, playing together. And March Vivo features that kind of music played by the Camerata Federici ensemble Wednesday, March 11th, played on period instruments or copies thereof. That'll be at 6 in the evening in Europe, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. I can show you a better picture of the Camerata participants in color. There you have all of them. I'm not going to be able to, these are all top instrumentalists. The group is named after the Genoese composer Francesco Federici, who was a leading figure in the chapel of the Royal Palace of Madrid. Yeah, well, March Vivo was in Madrid. And the members of this group are Hiro Kurosaki on the violin, on the viola, Emilio Moreno and Remei Silvestre Vinexa, on the cello, Mar Silvestre, on the oboe, Dominique Lafont, on the horn, Javier Bonnet, on the bassoon, Josep Borras. They're going to bookend this concert with two pieces, two sextets, numbers 1 and 3 by Francesco Federici. Well, it's the Camerata Federici. And in between that, they'll play Johann Christian Bach's Quartet for Oboe and Strings in B flat major, that's WB 62 in capitals. I'm not familiar with that notation. Then Mozart's Quintet for Horn and Strings in E flat major, Koschel number 407, and also, let me not forget, a trio for viola, horn, and bassoon number 3, out of the Royal Palace of Madrid by Anonymous. If you're interested in wind and strings played together, here's your chance to hear it. That's on Wednesday. I already gave you the time, at 6 in the evening European time. Then at 7:30 in the evening, there's more coming out of the United States with the Owls. The Owls, a distinctive cello heavy string quartet, is featured playing classic and contemporary pieces in their own unique arrangements in the Philadelphia Chamber Music Society's live stream on Wednesday, March 11th. That'll be at 7:30 in the evening in Philadelphia, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, midnight here in Europe. I'm in Paris, France. Eat your heart out. And 10:30 in the morning, Thursday morning down under in Australia. The Owls is violinist Alexi Kenny, violist Ayana Kozasa, and cellist Gabriel Cabezas and Paul Wianco. I have the impression Paul Wianco is really the leader of the group. They do their own arrangements, both of earlier music and of contemporary pieces, and they do some of their own pieces. So this program, they'll be doing, they start out with a piece called Vox Petra by Paul Wianco. Then they do a piece by Frangiz Ali Zadek called Rex, which means dance. They played that piece and a couple other pieces at 92 NY last year, about a year ago in February 2025, and it cost you $25 to watch the live stream. Here, the live stream doesn't cost you anything, although they do invite you to donate, which is good if you can. Ali Zadek is Azerbaijan, and he composed this piece in 2015 for cello and piano, but they arranged it for their unique combination in which instead of having two violins, they have two cellos. Forgot to mention that to start out, but it's true. Then they'll play Couperin's Les Barricades Mystérieuses, the mysterious barricades. Then they'll play a piece by Trollstilt, which is actually Dan Truman and Monica Muggan, called Ricercar, which was composed in 2000. The interesting thing about that is that Ricercar is like a 17th century form of chamber music. Then they'll play a piece by Gabriella Smith called Aegolius, and Aegolius is a small owl. It's a particular species of little owls, which is appropriate for owls. Then they'll play a piece by Paul Wianco again, When the Night. They played that at 92 NY. Then a piece by Terry Riley called Good Medicine from this. It's the final movement of his Salome Dances for Peace, which is like a 2-hour string quartet that was commissioned by the Kronos Quartet back in the mid-1980s. And they will, that will be their climax, will be that piece. So they're a highly interesting group, and for playing both earlier and classics and mixing them with their own arrangements, they're unto themselves. Okay, then we move on to Thursday. And Thursday we have a couple more interesting live streams for you. As we just move right along and move right along. Here. Early music followers, you may know that the Piccolo violin repertoire has largely been lost and is shrouded in mystery, as Midtown Concerts tells us. They'll be live streaming the research ensemble Aquitaine to uncover some of this repertoire for you Thursday, March 12th. Sorry, my notes were a little wrong. That's at their usual 1:15 p.m. New York City time, 10:30 in the morning on the East Coast, and 6:15 in the evening here in Europe. Aquitaine is a group that came together from the Juilliard School, and they're a research-based ensemble dedicated to uncovering or discovering underplayed gems from the Baroque repertoire. They performed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They performed at concerts by the Silent Woods Collective, and they've done some community outreach concerts, which is not unusual for people who study at Juilliard or teach there. They're performing on period instruments. And they, as a group, they are Eleanor, in this concert, they're Eleanor Legault or Legault, on solo violin, Jimmy Dronchek and Lydia Becker on violins, Ryan Cheng on the viola and viola da gamba, Ezra Gantz on the bassoon, Alan Marakla on the violoncello, and Yun Yi Ji on the harpsichord. They'll be playing pieces by composers like Johann Joseph Fuchs, Philip H. Erlebach, Johann Hoynisch, who else? Karl Henrik Bieber and Johann Pfeiffer. These will be entradas, sonatas, quartets, and even a couple of concertos. If you're not familiar with the Piccolo violin, this concert will really give you a chance to become familiar with it in a lot of different formats. And then we move on to something very different as the next concert in the day, Thursday. Coming out of the Kennedy Center or the Trump Kennedy Center, depending on your political persuasion these days, on which we do not take stands. Venezuelan and Appalachian folk music come together in the Millennium Stage live stream on Thursday, March 12th with Larry and Joe, a Venezuelan North Carolinian duo who blend their respective heritages in a lively program of storytelling, humor, sing-alongs, and dancing. That's at 6 p.m, the usual Millennium Stage time in Washington, D.C., 3 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock in the evening here in Europe, and 9 o'clock Friday morning down under in Australia. It's Europa maestro Larry Bellorin from Monagas, Venezuela, and Grammy-nominated bluegrass and old-time star Joe Troop from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They play the harp, banjo, quattro, fiddle, upright bass, guitar, and maracas. Later on, Thursday night, though, you can hear some more early music. So it's sort of an early music double header for you early music lovers, and I know you're out there. But this next one will not be free of charge. Thursday night in New York City, you can enjoy a trio sonata soiree performed by the young and highly acclaimed Paris-based Baroque ensemble Le Consort, spelled Consort, playing Baroque masters Bach, Telemann, Geminiani, and Albinoni, plus additional rarities, live streamed by 92NY. Because it's live streamed by 92NY, the stream will cost you $25. There are some excellent program notes on this. I don't know if we'll be able to fit in the link to them in the list that we give you of the concerts and the links, because we have limited space sometimes. But if we don't, I encourage you to go to the 92NY website and read those notes, which are written by Sophie de Barnonesh, who's one of the members of Le Consort quartet. The members are all under 35 years old. They're all playing 17th century music. So this is young and very old. They are Teotim Langlois de Suarte, who plays the Baroque violin. He's one of the co-founders of the group, and he plays with Les Arts Florissants. So top notch. The other co-founder is Justin Taylor, who's French-American, on the harpsichord. And in addition to that, there's Sophie de Barlonesh, whom I just mentioned, on the Baroque violin, and Hanna Salzenstein on the cello. What are they going to be playing? Well, they're going to be playing Michel Pignolet de Monteclair's Plant for Two Violins, Tommaso Albinoni's Sonata Prima, Opus 1. That's not the Albinoni that you think you know. This is the real Albinoni. But to understand all that, go read the program notes. It's a whole story. Giorgio Gentili's Sonata Prima, Opus 1. Nicole Porpora's Trio Sonata, Opus 2, number 3. Then several pieces by Telemann, Sonata in D major for cello and basso continuo, Trietto in D major, and a Corellicierende Sonata number 3. Then by Bieber, the Passacaglia for solo violin, a couple pieces by Bach, a trio sonata in G major, BWV 1039, and a Larghetto, BWV 972. And they'll finish up with Francesco Geminiani's La Folia. Voila. Le Consort at 92 NY on Thursday, March 12th. Then we move on to Friday. Friday will bring us back first to the Millennium stage once more this week. But for something more classic this time. Not a lot that I can tell you about, though. Friday, March 13th, chamber music lovers can get their fill when the National Symphony Orchestra once again sends some of its top musicians to the Trump Kennedy Center Millennium stage for a live stream performance of selected pieces of chamber music, free of charge. We don't know what music they're going to be playing, and we don't know which musicians they're sending. But usually it's a good time and it's quality music because the National Symphony Orchestra is a quality outfit. But we do think that the Millennium stage would do better to provide more information about these live streams in particular. Then we move on to Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, we'll have two concerts as usual by March Vivo, and Saturday, the day will start out with one such concert. Are you by any chance a Baroque dance lover? If so, you can enjoy Saturday, March 14th, this live stream by March Vivo in Madrid. It's French and Spanish court dances to music by composers like Lully, Danglebert, Martin Ecole, and more, with dancer Diana Campo and harpsichordist Ignacio Prego. And I probably should say Diana Campos, and she's Spanish. This will be at noon European time, 7 in the morning on the East Coast, 4 in the morning on the West Coast, if you really, really want to get up early and watch this or stay up late, 10 o'clock in the evening down under in Australia. This will be minuets and gavottes and this kind of dancing by a fair number of Baroque composers. Louis Couperin, Jean-Philippe Rameau, Elisabeth Jacquet de la Guerre, Johann Sebastian Bach, Antonio Martin Nicole, Scarlatti, a piece by Ignacio Prego himself, and Armide. There'll be choreography. Some of the choreography is of the period by choreographers Thomas Caverly, and who's from around 1708, and Guillaume Louis Piccolo. But there's also a contemporary choreographer, I believe he's contemporary, Domingo Gonzalez, in the mix. Ignacio Prego, he's performed in the US, Canada, Europe, Asia, South America, at places like the Utrecht Festival in the Netherlands, the FEMAS in Seville, the Vancouver Festival, etc. He did a recording of the complete Bach French suites, which won the Melomano de Oro Award and the Scherzo Magazine's Exceptional Album Award. He recorded the Goldberg Variations, and he got Scherzo's Exceptional Album Awards. Taught at Yale for a couple of years in the mid-teens, guest lecturer at American universities. Diane Campo is the director of a top historical dance company called La Foretta. And she's a professor at the upper school of music of the Basque country, Musicana, for the last 20 years or so, and collaborates as a specialist in historical dance at the European University of Madrid. So top people giving you a kind of dance as choreographed in those days that you may not get that many opportunities to enjoy. That's not all on Saturday. On Saturday, there's at least one more live stream to tell you about. And this takes us back square to America in a very American kind of concert. American college lore. Saturday, March 14th, Old First Concerts in San Francisco is live streaming a real American tradition. The Princeton Nassoons, ambassadors of this Ivy League university tradition of singing in 5-part harmony with, we're told, contemporary flair. We don't know what they'll be singing, but this is at 2 in the afternoon, Pacific time, 5 o'clock in the early evening on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the evening here in Europe, and 8 o'clock Sunday morning down under in Australia. This is a great American tradition. If you're an American and you love it, you'll want to tune in. It's free of charge. And if you're European and you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. Then we move on to Sunday, and we have several concerts to tell you about on Sunday, and then we will be done. The first of them, as usual, is March Vivo, because they get started at noon here in Europe. Have you heard of the use of the spiral as a compositional technique in chamber music? Well, the Aelos saxophone quartet will play you 3 pieces reflecting this approach by Debussy, Maurizio Sotello, and Philip Glass in March Vivo's Sunday noontime live stream on March 15th. That'll be at 7 in the morning on the East Coast, 4 a.m. on the West Coast, late Saturday night, 10 o'clock in the evening down under in Australia. The Aelos Quartet is Victor Orts on the soprano, Alejandro Mingori on the tenor, Ismael Momparley on the alto, and Antonio Menchaca on the baritone saxophone. The pieces they're playing are Debussy's String Quartet in G minor, Opus 10, as arranged by the Piccolo Quartet, Maurizio Sotello's 1961 Songs of Wind and Snow, Spirals of Weeping. I think 1961, that's when he was born. And Philip Glass's Concerto for Saxophone Quartet. The Aelos Quartet was formed in 2024 in Zaragoza among musicians at the Conservatory of Music of Aragon. They've played at the Raphael Frubeck Professional Music Conservatory in Burgos, at the Joaquin Roncal Center of the CAI Foundation, and at the Eduardo del Puello Auditorium in Zaragoza. So if you want to explore, because I don't know anything about the spiral as a compositional technique, well, you can find out along with me. Then we move on, but that's not all. If that's not enough, brass for you, there's more brass coming along on Sunday, although it's not quite as classical brass as that will be. As you can see, Minneapolis's Bethlehem Music Series continues its 44th season, Sunday, March 15th, live streaming the Brass Roots Trio. And they showcase classical, jazz, Americana, and Latin-style music. They've been doing it across the U.S. and the U.K. since 2004. That'll be at 3:30 in the afternoon in Minneapolis, 4:30 in New York, 9:30 in the evening here in Europe, and 7:30 Monday morning down under in Australia if you want to get up and listen to brass. We don't know what they're going to be playing. I can tell you it's Travis Heath on the trumpet and flugelhorn, Douglas Lundeen on the French horn and singing, and Rosetta Sebkus-Bacon on the piano. They've, as we said, they've been around for 20 years. The music series has been around for almost 45. There will be a pre-concert conversation. So if you tune in at 3:30, you'll get to hear Steve Starrick of Minnesota Public Radio talking with the musicians. We continue to move along. Romanian violinist Johan Koman and Lithuanian-born pianist Kasparis Mikudzis treat you to violin sonatas by Brahms and César Franck, live streamed by St. Mary's Perivale Sunday, March 15th. That'll be at their usual 4 o'clock in the afternoon European time. It's Brahms's Violin Sonata in D minor, Opus 108, and Franck's Violin Sonata in A. Coleman is studying at the Royal Academy of Music in London. He has already played at places like Wigmore Hall and Milton Court there and won the Royal Philharmonic Society's Emily Anderson Prize. Mikuzis was a 2025 Classic FM Rising Star, and he also was one of the winners of the Young Classical Artists Trust international auditions in that year. He's played at Bridgewater Hall in Manchester, at Krzysztof Penderecki Center in Luslawice, Poland, and he's had his debut at Wigmore Hall. He finished up undergrad and postgrad studies at the Royal Academy of Music as well. And we have one more live stream for you on Sunday, coming to you from the Ukraine, where classical music is still alive and well there. They're still playing it. Surrounding up-and-coming Ukrainian violinist Varvara Vasilieva, now based in Switzerland, plays solo violin sonatas by Bach and Iseye on Sunday, March 15th, live stream free of charge on the Vera Music Fund's YouTube channel. That's at 6 o'clock in the evening European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast in the U.S., 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. It's Bach's Sonata number 2 for solo violin in A minor, BWV 1003, and Eugene Isse's Sonata number 3 for solo violin in D minor, Opus 27. Varvara was born in Kiev, but she's been studying in Switzerland and is based there now. She went to the Basel Hochschule in 2022, and starting this April, in a month or so, she'll be at the Hochschule für Musik Hans Eisler in Berlin. She's won awards at numerous competitions, Max Rostal International Competition in Germany, the Issei International Music Competition in Belgium, a couple of competitions in the Ukraine. She's played at a number of international festivals, and she is a co-founder of the Arda String Quartet in Basel, Switzerland. Enjoy. And we have one last concert that I want to tell you about just very briefly, because it's next Tuesday, and I never have time to get this introduction in early enough so that people can benefit from it before that next Tuesday, because we always do these on Tuesdays. Tuesday, March 17th, pianist Callum McLaughlin plays Beethoven's Sonata in A, Opus 101, and Ravel's Miroir, live stream free of charge by St. Mary's Perivale. That's at their 3 o'clock in Europe, 10 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, 7 in the morning on the West Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning down under in Australia. It's Ravel's Miroirs. It's a series of pieces, about a half an hour it takes. Noctuelle, Night Moths, Oiseaux Tristes, Sad Birds, Une barque sur l'océan, A Bark on the Ocean, Alborada del Gracioso, A Morning Song of the Jester. That's not what that means, but anyway. La Vallée des Cloches, The Valley of the Bells. And he's studying at the Hochschule für Musik Hans Eisler in Berlin, so he may run into Varvara Vasilieva there in April. He's recently made debuts at the Yamaha Hall in Tokyo, the Clavier Festival of the Ruhr, the Menton International Music Festival, the Allerheiligen Hofkirche Munich, and done solo recitals at Verdi Hall in Milan and Bechstein Hall in London. And he has performed with the Casals Quartet, the Kaleidoscope Ensemble, and he is part of a duo with cellist Jeremias Fliedel, who was a Queen Elizabeth competition award winner. That's what we have for you this week, folks, in terms of chamber music live stream action. I hope that one, some, or any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And I can think of several of the ones I've described, which will do that for you. Let me remind you before I go, if you like any of this kind of music, do yourself a favor, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn, and you'll get access to thousands and thousands of hours of live performances online every year. And with that, I'll say ciao for now.